The terms Philistine and Palestinian might sound similar, but they represent two vastly different peoples with unique histories and cultural identities. Yet, over time, these terms have often been confused or used interchangeably, creating misconceptions. So, what's the real difference between the ancient Philistines and the modern-day Palestinians? Let's dive in and unravel the history, the geography, and the identity of these two distinct groups. First, let's start with the Philistines. The Philistines were an ancient people who settled in the southwestern coast of the Levant around the 12th century BCE, roughly the same period when the Israelites were establishing themselves in the highlands. Originating from a region often believed to be near the Aegean Sea, possibly Mycenaean Greece or Crete, the Philistines are thought to be part of the Sea Peoples who migrated across the Mediterranean during this time. They were known for their distinctive pottery, advanced metallurgy, and unique architectural styles. The Philistines established 5 major city-states: Gaza, Ashkelon, Ashdod, Ekron, and Gath. These cities became powerful centers of trade, culture, and military strength. The Philistines had a reputation for their skill in warfare and were often at odds with their Israelite neighbors, leading to conflicts documented in various ancient texts, including the Hebrew Bible. Figures like Samson and Goliath are part of these narratives, representing the long-standing rivalry between the Israelites and the Philistines. However, by the 7th century BCE, the Philistines began to decline, primarily due to invasions from powerful empires like the Assyrians and later the Babylonians, who ultimately destroyed their cities and assimilated their people. As for the Palestinians, their story is much more recent. The Palestinians are a modern ethnic group with a heritage deeply rooted in the Levant region, specifically in the areas of present-day Israel, the West Bank, Gaza Strip, and Jordan. Their identity developed over centuries through a mix of indigenous cultures, Arab migrations, and Islamic influences, particularly after the Muslim conquests in the 7th century CE, unlike the Philistines, whose culture and language were distinct from the Semitic cultures around them. Palestinians share cultural and linguistic ties with neighboring Arab populations. Arabic, Islam, and a shared Levantine heritage are central to Palestinian identity. The confusion between Philistines and Palestinians partly arises from linguistic similarity and historical shifts in regional names. After the Roman Empire conquered Jerusalem and suppressed the Jewish revolts in the 2nd century CE, Emperor Hadrian renamed the region Provincia Syria Palestina. This name, Palestina, was a deliberate move to erase Jewish ties to the land, referencing the long-extinct Philistines as a symbolic statement. Over centuries, Palestina evolved into Palestine, a geographic term that persisted through Ottoman and British rule, eventually leading to the term Palestinian as a national identifier in the 20th century. It's essential to highlight that the Philistines, as an ethnic and cultural group, disappeared more than 2,500 years ago. Archaeological evidence suggests that their culture and language were lost as they were assimilated by conquering empires. Modern Palestinians, however, have no direct ethnic or cultural lineage to the ancient Philistines. Instead, their heritage is a blend of Arab, Levantine, and Islamic traditions, shaped by centuries of history in the region. Today, Palestinians are primarily concerned with establishing their national identity and rights in the context of the ongoing Israeli-Palestinian conflict, which centers around modern political, social, and territorial issues. Their quest is about national self-determination, a right recognized under international law. The ancient Philistines, on the other hand, were a distinct culture with their own gods, customs, and social structures, separate from both the Israelites of their time and the modern Palestinian population. So, to sum it up, the Philistines were an ancient people who thrived in the coastal Levant over 2,500 years ago and were eventually assimilated into other empires, effectively disappearing as a distinct culture. The Palestinians, in contrast, are a modern people with a cultural and historical identity tied to the Arab world and the Levant. They emerged as a distinct group much later, influenced by Arab conquests, Islamic traditions, and centuries of regional evolution. Their connection to the land may be long-standing, but it's a different heritage from that of the ancient Philistines. This distinction is important, not only for understanding history accurately, but also for appreciating the unique identities and heritages of both groups. While they both lived in roughly the same geographic area, they existed in different time periods, practiced different religions, spoke different languages, and had distinct cultural traditions. Recognizing these differences helps us avoid misconceptions and allows us to appreciate the depth and complexity of the history of the Levant.